Thank you so much, Ben, for joining.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you. So let's just get started. What is going on in digital economy these days, and what is going on with you?
Yeah, digital economy is a very broad term, so I'll skip that one. There's a lot going on. What's going on with me? We've just launched Charged Particles after a long time in development, which is a new way to do more things with your NFTs, non-fungible tokens. So this is big in my kind of echo chamber of the small corner of the digital economy right now. It depends. Like if you follow me around through Twitter and Clubhouse, you'd think everybody and their brothers are talking about this, but my parents still don't really understand what an NFT is or why it's valuable. So, yeah, all things NFTs. That would be my little niche of the corner of the digital economy.
Perfect. Well, I think that digital economy now is a little bit shifting towards blockchain and NFTs. So, and it's great that you're all obviously already active in this field. If you can just tell us what NFTs are and how are you involved, it would be really great for the listeners.
Yeah, sure. So what is an NFT? So it stands for non-fungible token. So it depends on who your audience is, but it's almost easier to say what is not a non-fungible token. So double negative, but so what is a fungible token? So fungible token is anything that's interchangeable. So $1 equals $1. And in the digital world, really only privacy coins are completely fungible. Like one privacy coin equals one privacy coin. If you have a Bitcoin that comes from a known scammer's wallet, well, it has a bit of non-fungibility, and that should probably be a little bit lower value than a Bitcoin that is newly minted. So literally everything but privacy coins have this aspect of non-fungibility. So a little bit of uniqueness, digital rarity. So a lot of times when people say non-fungible tokens in this world, they mean something like crypto art. They mean digital real estate. But then there's a lot of more financial use cases like an e-ticket or a e-gift card, domain names. So lots of things like that. So there's a lot of different things within this non-fungible category. So probably for your listeners, something that would be more interesting is digital art, because it seems to be very popular right now. There's big name people like Beeple or Blau selling these digital pieces of art that are selling for millions of dollars and making headlines. So what non-fungible tokens do in this case is they give ownership and provenance and value to these digital pieces of art that were very difficult to like prove ownership before. If I create a digital print and I sell it to you, well, you paid me for it. So do you own it? Well, what if I just send that JPEG to somebody else? What if you forward it on to 10 different people and they forward it on to 10 people? How do you prove that you're the owner of this, that you own this piece of digital art? So it's been very difficult without kind of blockchain-based ownership. So blockchain allows ownership and provenance for this digital art piece that has been difficult to kind of peg that down before.
Perfect. It's kind of like authentication. And also the source is being already authenticated. There's only one. And so every time that there's this kind of the item is being auctioned on, there's also a track that each owner would be compensated. Is that right?
Can be, and this is kind of what provenance means. So it's knowing that I created this from my wallet. I have this reputation as an artist. I've sold it to you for this price. You've transferred it to him. He's transferred it to her at that price, and you can follow that all the way back. I mean, the qualities of a blockchain, for the listeners that aren't that sure, it's public, transparent, and permanent. So you can see until the end of time, until these things stop existing, who created it, me, where the first sale was to you, and at what price, and where that went. So you can trace this thing throughout the history, its life, which is something pretty unique and cool.
Well, that's amazing. And how are you involved with this project?
Yeah, so my project is called Charged Particles. And what we do is we take this broad category, which are NFTs, and we turn them into a basket or a container that enable it to hold that NFT to hold other tokens and even hold other NFTs. So why would you want to do this? We're not really sure. No, just kidding. I mean, it's a novel new use case. So I can create this piece of art, and then I can fill that piece of art with my own social token if I have it. So I'm very bullish on social tokens. I think we're still experimenting around with the early use cases, but how cool would that? You're supporting me. You have these social tokens locked inside of that piece of art that you've purchased from me. Another use case is I fill it full of interest bearing assets. So within this decentralized finance or DeFi world, there's borrow and lending protocols. So they generate yield. So this asset that's generating yield could be put inside of a NFT and be earning yield. So this opens up the door to new token mechanics in that does a portion of that yield, that interest, go back to me? Does it go to a charity? Does it have this mechanic where we battle for it and the accrued interest is discharged to one of us? Do we have to, you can do all of these things with smart contracts these days. So it gives you all of this flexibility to do some really, really unique and wild things with all of these little building blocks that we've provided.
Wow, that's fascinating. It's like a Pandora box,
Yeah.
like literally. But it's amazing. So, is the platform already working right now, or when is it going to be launched? Is it already
Yeah,
launched?
so we launched mid February after, I mean, a very long time. This was Rob Secord. He's the founder. He's been thinking about this since late 2019 and kind of tinkering around. So we had a proof of concept in May 2020, so far before like this DeFi wave, and have been tinkering around. So it launched mid February, so 2021, 2021. And yeah, it's been we had our launch party in Crypto Voxels, which is a virtual world, a metaverse, which is really cool. So we had a virtual art gallery with over 2,000 people in it,
Wow.
selling virtual art that was charged up and had tokens inside of it. It was a pretty wild experience.
Wow, that's amazing. So, how do you describe this experience so far? Like being involved with the NFTs and like because everything from 2021 January is happening so fast, and we're still like just 2nd of March. But I feel like it should have been, like probably mid year. But it's just like so much happening in digital world that like my mind is not even like keeping up. But well, how your experience have been?
Yeah, I mean, it's true. I haven't slept much in the past month and a half, that's for sure, and I probably don't plan on it for the next little bit. Things move very quickly in the crypto space. I think there's always like this ongoing joke that 1 year in crypto world is like 7 years in the real world, and I think it's been very pronounced this year. That is in the last 2 months so far. So yeah, how do you deal with it? It's difficult. I think back fondly to like 2019, like the bear market when nobody was checking their coin geckos and like refreshing their feeds and seeing the number of digits on paper, and how all of these distractions, right? And you could actually just build things. But yeah, it's certainly exciting, and it's glad to have. I'm excited to see that enthusiasm and confidence, and this, this technology can actually change the world mentality that's kind of back. I mean, the last like really frothy period was 2017, and there's a bit of a PTSD aspect, perhaps, of me kind of thinking, it feels very frothy again, but this time it's different. That's what they say, right?
Exactly. And why is it this time different? Because NFTs have been around for like last 3 years, is that right? But then now it's just like it's at the peak, I would say, or maybe just close to get to the peak. And why is that? Is it because of the COVID? Is it because of Bitcoin
Yeah.
price or
Um,
Ethereum, the new protocol?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not very good at predictions anyways, so I have no clue where this thing's going or if it's overhyped and it's going to come down. But I will say the whole this time it's different is like a joke. Basically, you say that whenever like these bubblers are happening, and the joke is that these things are driven by human emotions, which are always the same, right? You're either running toward pleasure, running away from pain, or fear and greed, or whatever kind of things you choose. But they're humans, they're emotional. These hype cycles kind of come and go. But I will say that the different characteristics of this time around versus 2017, there's macroeconomic differences with money printing and geographic, like geopolitical instability. There are a lot more like fundamental infrastructural building blocks in place now. I mean, I think just 2017, like there wasn't a Uniswap that you could just swap from like ETH into stablecoin, and there certainly wasn't a compound that you could put it on a company backed by A16Z and earn 10% yield on your stablecoin. Like these kind of pieces, and those are just two very very generic examples, right? But fiat on ramps. You have big name investors kind of vouching for the space and the movement. So there are a lot of different aspects, and this time around I'm out in LA, so we threw our first NFT Thursdays meetup last week, and 15 people RSVP'd and 100 people showed up. So you're not allowed to have more than 6 people at a table, and outdoor dining just came back 2 weeks ago. So if you show up at a restaurant with 100 people, one, they freak out, and then two, fortunately we were at like a little bit more cool place, and they're like, this is the most business we've had in a year. Like, yeah, we'll probably get fines because there's a million of you people, but like, this is great. So, I mean, I don't know. It's a different crowd, right? In 2017, there were these ICOs that were decentralizing the world, and you take every thing that you have and there's going to be a decentralized version of it. And this time around, it's very much the artists are getting their revival, and they're taking back more of their income, and they're able to flex their creativity in a number of different ways. So kind of different mix of people. But yeah, it's fun.
Well, that's amazing. So they didn't shut you guys down when when it was 100 people?
No, it was great. I mean, I think Texas just announced today that like everything's open. There's no masks. They're like it's just back to normal, So I think people are had we done this well a month ago, we couldn't have, but any other time, I think it would have been probably shut down pretty quickly.
I know. So you touched it on a great base that is because of artists, and now they're actually getting the real value of their ownership and also their properties and their creativities and creatives, and also obviously with the COVID that hit, they the all the businesses were kind of like being impacted. And from an artist perspective, I understand that your platform is helping a lot of different stakeholders, not just artists, just like people, like retail, kind of like investors, or just anybody, right? But from an artist perspective, how do you see that as an opportunity, and also as a way of perhaps seeing that a lot of other artists would actually join the tribe and come to the sector, and perhaps we will see kind of like a revolution, and what that impact is going to be on, for example, the studios, recording studios, or even like platforms like Spotify. What is your take on that?
Yeah. So there's a lot there. So I think the transition from traditional to digital has a lot of its own advantages. So via this blockchain based ownership, you have the ability to give a percentage of the resale value back to the original artist, for example, give a percentage of something else back to the original artist into perpetuity as like a royalty payment. You have the ability to take an expensive piece of art, lock it in a smart contract, issue out shards of it so multiple people can own this. You can do this via trusted parties now, like Masterworks, but the transition from like traditional physical to digital opens up all of these other things. I mean, there's platforms now that I can take this digital piece of art, they assign a value to it, I lock it in a smart contract, then I can pull out a loan based on it. So I mean, it's like a home equity line of credit, and I can access the dollar value that's locked in this piece of art. So it gives you a lot of these other flexible abilities that you're just trusting the smart contract that says a percentage of this goes to that, and that's really powerful.
Exactly. And what are the next features on your platform? I know it is still like early, you just launched it, but now that, for example, we see it's just not arts, there's like talk that even like real estate might actually, have NFTs, right? That authenticating properties, home properties, or even like insurance, right? So imagine that I would have a portfolio of my whole kind of like life, like insurance, like mortgage, perhaps,
medical records, all of these unique things.
On NFTs in a portfolio, and then I want to, put it in your platform.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're a protocol, so we're NFT agnostic. The first DApp is just for crypto art. These crypto artists seem to be kind of the front line and the early adopters with doing these interesting things with NFTs. But eventually, I mean, an NFT is a lot of different things. So giving these NFT owners the ability to lock a value inside of that NFT and then time lock that and then program out the interest applies to a lot of other niches and categories within the broad umbrella that is NFTs.
Perfect. And also going to your kind of like founding experience as an entrepreneur, for the founders and entrepreneurs that are watching, what was your journey like? What were the ups and downs and the lessons that you could actually share?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the journey, I've been doing this for a long time. I'm a angel investor advisor in a number of other companies. So I mean, I'm in the game, right? So I'd say the best piece of advice is that this is more of a general life advice, I suppose. The grass is not always greener. It's not always sunshine and rainbows. There's a quote that I probably need to look up, but I thought it was Elon Musk, and he once described entrepreneurship as sitting alone in the dark, staring off into the abyss, eating glass. And this is accurate at times, right? It's 2 a.m. when you have nobody to ask help, but you're launching the next day, and there's a widget that doesn't work on your website or something silly. So you're watching a YouTube video, you're reading blogs, you're trying to figure out how to fix this because it's kind of mission critical. And for some reason, you're the only one that is paying attention to this little piece that probably is mission critical. So it's not easy. It's certainly not glamorous. And it's high risk. I mean, we at Charge Particles, we're launching this novel new use case. It's super awesome. The tech is amazing, but we've just launched, and it's been theoretical for a long time. So, this is just the beginning. It's like getting it out to the world, and now it's quickly iterate add features and rip out other ones, and talk to users, and hopefully come up with something that adds a lot of value to somebody.
Exactly. And how is it like to pitch to investors as an impact startup that you are? It's quite novel, as you mentioned, right? It's very disruptive. It's very new.